This week on The Review, UpFront, a new weekly show coming to you from head-to-head presenter Mehdi Hasan. Hashtag Buy Pens, the crowdfunding campaign for a Syrian refugee. And jail time for 3 Al Jazeera journalists. Hello and welcome to The Review, the show that goes behind the scenes at Al Jazeera and lets you do the talking. Viewers will recognize Mehdi Hasan as a blunt and probing interviewer who faces off with influential thought leaders on Head to Head, the channel's one-on-one discussion show tackling important issues of our time. Well, Mehdi is launching a new weekly discussion program from Washington, D.C. called UpFront. He'll go beyond the headlines to the very heart of important matters in current affairs with newsmakers and other high-profile guests. And as he says,
let's leave the spin to the politicians, simplicity to the headlines, and the quick fixes to the hashtags.
The Review turned the tables on Mehdi and put the questions to him. We asked what prompted the development of the new program.
UpFront is our new show. It's my new show on Al Jazeera English. It's a weekly show, and we're going to be aiming to take viewers behind the headlines in a much more topical and urgent and intense way than perhaps we take viewers behind the headlines on Head to Head. Head to Head is a robust one-hour show filmed at the Oxford Union in England where we talk about capitalism, we talk about feminism, we talk about Islamism, we talk about all the big issues that people care about and are arguing about. UpFront is a much more news-focused program. We're going to be talking about what's in the headlines. We're going to have big newsmakers on giving their takes on the stories of the week, on the issues behind the headlines. We're going to be equally robust, but we're also going to have discussions. We're going to have some humor. We're going to do some myth busting as well with our reality check segment. So we're very excited about the new show. It's a huge opportunity to be able to come on Al Jazeera week in, week out and talk about the biggest news stories in the world.
We were curious to know what will distinguish UpFront from Head to Head and what the show aims to do differently.
UpFront launches on September the 4th on Al Jazeera English. You can watch it globally, both on the channel and online. It's a half-hour show, it's a weekly show, it's a magazine show. But don't forget, to fans of Head to Head will be coming back on December the 4th. From the Oxford Union. We've still got Head to Head. It's one of the most watched programs on the channel. It's a great honor and privilege to present that show as well. It's a very different beast. It's a very intense one-hour, one-on-one interview show in front of a live audience. UpFront is a half an hour, much more nimble, news-driven show from this very high-tech, very cool studio that we have here in Washington, D.C.
Finally, we asked Mehdi to reflect on his particular style of interview.
How would I describe my interview style? Some would say aggressive, others would say forensic, others might say robust. It depends whether you're the interviewee or the viewer, I suppose. People are biased depending on which end of the interview they are. I'm the one who asks the questions. I love asking questions. It's something I've done since I was a very small child. I used to annoy my mother with questions, pepper her with questions, and now I get to do it for a living, which is kind of fun. But, you know, my aim is to try and get answers out of people. We have guests on, some of whom want to have a row, others of whom don't want to say anything that might be seen as controversial or give away their real positions. And my aim is to keep asking the question as often, as toughly, as forensically as possible in order to give our viewers a real insight into what that person believes, what they stand for, what they plan to do about a given event in the world.
Thanks, Mehdi. You can catch the first episode of UpFront on September 4th and send us a tweet, a message on Facebook, or even a video comment to let us know what you think of Mehdi's new show. Okay, moving on. This image of Palestinian-Syrian refugee Abdul Halim Attar, a single father of 2 selling pens on the streets of Beirut, went viral and prompted an online crowdfunding campaign called Buy Pens. Attar shared his story with Al Jazeera, and it resonated with many of you, like Carmen Shahidi Davis, who commented, "This is so moving. I donated all I had at the time." Before we go, we wanted to mark what's been a devastating week here at Al Jazeera. If you didn't already see the news, 3 of our very own journalists, Bahar Mohammed, Mohammed Fahmy, and Peter Greste, were sentenced to 3 years in jail by a Cairo court on Saturday. The verdict, widely recognized to have been politically motivated, sparked worldwide outrage and has been condemned by governments, media organizations, and rights groups. We invite you to show your support for our colleagues and for the pursuit of press freedom around the globe. Until next time.
Hope, then heartbreak in an Egyptian courtroom as two journalists returned to prison. A retrial was supposed to give Bahar Mohammed, Mohammed Fahmy, and Peter Gresta a second opportunity to clear their names. Instead, justice was denied yet again.
They converged on the centre of Kuala Lumpur in the tens of thousands, calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Najib Razak.
But this country's been ruled by the same coalition for 58 years, so that change may not come so easy.
The moment when anger turned to bloodshed. These pictures filmed from inside Ukraine's parliament building show the bloody scene after protesters threw a grenade at riot police.
Early on Tuesday morning, the police weren't standing back. They were throwing them out of the railway station, then forming a solid line, stopping them from entering.
The Israeli government pulled out all the stops to try and stop the Iran deal from going forward. It didn't work. On Wednesday, the senator from Maryland, Barbara Mikulski, announced her support. That guarantees the president can keep Congress from overriding his veto in an attempt to scuttle the deal between the U.S., 5 other nations, and Iran.
It's become a symbol of the desperation facing thousands and an image synonymous with the crisis unfolding on European shores. The lifeless body of this 3-year-old Syrian boy washed up on the beach of Bodrum in Turkey.